The Pirates are an absolute mess right now, following record-setting ineptitude offensively in 2024, with what looks like it could be worse in 2025. It's Monday, so we've got the weekend rewind, whether you want it or not, in the week ahead, and we'll talk about what the Pirates could actually replace. That's next on Locked On Pirates.
You are Locked On Pirates, your daily Pittsburgh Pirates podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Pirates your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. The Weekend Rewind, everybody's favorite. Maybe one day I'm going to actually do a weekend rewind in which everyone enjoys what I have to say. But we have to do it. It's important to look back or you'll never understand what's ahead of you. The Pirates played 27 innings in Cincinnati and only scored in 3 of them. They only had 10 hits. They lost this series with really no threat to win any of the games and only surrendered 14 hits total to the Reds. That's unheard of. This ain't about the pitching. That's my point. I mean, I could complain about Heaney giving up a grand slam or Carmen Mlodzinski not being able to get through 5, Bailey Falter walking the bases loaded to start the game. But folks, the Pirates could have had Paul Skeens pitch all 27 innings, and the way they hit, they probably get swept anyway. It's not only the inferior talent either. What I think we're seeing is almost no matter who they bring in here, the cancer that is the Pirates organization overall hitting philosophy will turn the vast majority into feckless hitters, wholly confident that their eye at the plate is impeccable. Look no further than somebody like Emmanuel Valdez. He's got a little bit of major league time under his belt, but not enough to be cocky about it. Certainly not enough to think that what he says goes with his eye. Standing there, indignantly taking fastballs over the inside corner. And I don't mean like inside and off the plate. I mean like inside corner. If our pitcher was throwing them, you'd want them as strikes. And Hunter Green was throwing them, and I wasn't questioning them as strikes. This guy just stood there mean mugging the ump the whole game. Who are you? Who are you to mean mug the ump? Have you ever done anything in this league that makes you rise to that level? I mean, if Kutch wants to do that, okay, that's Kutch. Kutch has been doing this a long time. I like to think he knows the strike zone really well. He at least knows his strike zone. He at least knows the pitches that he usually gets. In fact, he's probably had a little bit of experience with just about everyone that wears the blue. But Emmanuel Valdez? No, you don't, sir. First, you're batting leadoff. I don't know another team in Major League Baseball that would put you leadoff. So just be happy that you have a team that's that dumb that's going to give you that kind of an opportunity. Second, get the bat off your freaking shoulder. Hunter Green is going 1-2 or 0-2 on everybody he's facing. Swing the friggin' bat. And if you can't get to that pitch, well, let's just add that to the reasons that you shouldn't be here, sir. I don't understand trying to use him right now at second base. I don't understand trying to use Adam Frazier in the outfield. I really don't have much of an understanding of what they're trying to get accomplished anywhere on the diamond right now. I don't understand who they're playing where. I don't understand why they're stubbornly holding on to some guys. I don't know why some guys get a heck of an opportunity. Other guys don't get a heck of an opportunity. All I know is this weekend series against the Reds, these two teams went in. They could not have possibly been closer. I talked a little bit last week when we were looking to the weekend ahead about just how close this team was to each other. third and fourth in pitching WAR. You know, I mean, like, they're right there. Batting averages, both minus 200. Guess what? They still are. The Reds have been pitching okay. At least they're starting pitchers. Their bullpens have been letting them down. But that doesn't matter when you're facing the Pirates. The Pirates aren't hitting anyone. When you hear them interviewed, and I mean like the coaching staff and the general manager, you get an awful lot of like excuses like, "Oh, we've been really getting pitched to." Well, yeah, that's what we do in baseball. We pitch to you, like, and then you have to hit it. And it's this whole competitive thing. I don't know if you've ever heard of it or not, but it's how you win baseball games. You have to swing the bat in order to impact the baseball. And when you do that, sometimes it lands on that green stuff out there that we call grass. It's getting to that point where it's that infantile. And some of the dumb comments that come out of them, like they asked Ben Cherington the other night, "Are you happy with the Tommy Pham signing? Are you getting everything you want out of him?" "Oh yeah, Tommy Pham's giving us exactly what we want. He's that veteran leader that we went out and got. He's delivering exactly what we hoped he would. He's batting 147. I don't know how that comes out of your mouth. I don't know how that comes out of your mouth when you should absolutely have dual pressure on you to do something with this team or do something in general to shake up this team. This is not 2021 anymore, and it's not 2022. And somehow, some way, someone's got to answer for me how I felt better about this club in 2023 without Paul Skeens or Jared Jones even being something I was thinking about, to now having pitching that I actually feel is competitive with the league. And all of a sudden, I don't feel like my team is. How does that happen? You've done nothing but added talent. O'Neal Cruz wasn't around in 2023 when you were a better team than you are now. Explain that to me. Did we overachieve in 2023 and underachieve in 2024? Or did they peak in 2023 and just get better or worse ever since? Why did we get rid of Connor Joe and replace him with two players that are worse than him for probably more money than you would have spent on Connor Joe? Explain that to me. And once you do, if you can, you might be able to explain to me why this GM still has a job. I hate to take it to that level this early in the season, but that's kind of where we're getting to. It's not the end of the world that the Pirates are in the basement in the NL Central as we sit here on April 14th. It's not. It's not. They can turn it around. They can do something in this division still. But if you want to lean towards the side of, well, once the injuries start clearing up, they'll get better, I'll give you a little bit of that. But let's say Nick Gonzalez is healthy all year. I know he hit a home run in his first game and then got injured. So, of course, you extrapolate that out into 162 home runs. I know a lot of you think that's how it works, or at least that's the way you pretend it works. But if he hit 15 this year, I probably would have been beside myself excited. So I'm not sure what I really feel like we've lost here. I mean, yeah, there's been juggling. I think we've certainly seen a lot more Adam Frazier than we would have. And I definitely think that Gonzalez is an upgrade over that. So, okay, yeah, I'll give you that. I wanted to see Endy play. And there's a whole lot of Endy play we wouldn't have seen if Spencer Horwitz were here. And I have a hard time pining for a guy that, let's be real, we're hoping is a little above MLB average. It's his second year, really. We don't know if he's going to be a power hitter. We don't know if he's a platoon player. We don't know much of anything. All we know is that he's slow and he gets on base a lot. At least that's what he's done so far. I want him back. Would he improve the team? Yeah, I think. I think he will. Bart just got hurt, so I'm not going to give them all that, even though he just started finding his bat right before it. Reynolds hasn't been hitting. Had a nice double today. Yesterday looked like they were going to jump on Hunter Green early on, but there's just nothing behind him. You get that double and then you're stranded. That's the weekend that was. Don't look for me to get too much happier in segment 2, but we're going to come back and talk about some moves they could actually make that may or may not help and why they may or may not do them. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. I love them when I'm on the golf course. They really help me get through 18. I wish they'd help my score a little more, but I certainly feel like I have a little more energy by the time I get done, which is always a good thing. So get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. All right, welcome back to Locked On Pirates. I'm going to try to smile through the pain because I'm getting made fun of on the Locked On Network for always having a sad face when I do the game recaps. But how could I not? I mean, they've been so sad recently. What changes could they actually make? Would they help? Why or why not make them? This is not going to be what I think they'd do. It's not going to be what I think they'll do. This is just a look at what they have and wondering if it might help. Okay? This also isn't reflective of what I think could happen all season long. This right this second, this snapshot of right this minute, current situation, injuries being what they are. That's all it is. First one I want to talk about is Nick Solak. He's a second baseman, left fielder, right fielder. He's got some major league experience. He's played a little bit with the Rangers. He's spent last year in the minors, and obviously he started in the minors this year. He did hit over 300 in the minors last year. He is off to an over 300 start this year. Short sample size, of course, just like everyone else at this time of year. If you want to go there and say it's a short sample size, I'll say, okay, well, so is the short sample size on Adam Frazier, who I'd have him replace. I mean, he could play exactly what they're trying to do with Frazier right now, which is a little bit of second base here and there. He can float out there and play the corner outfields. He's pretty capable. Decent on-base guy. He's got some pop. He will strike out a decent amount. He'll play decent defense for you. Good bench guy, which is really all I want Adam Frazier to be anyway, and I think he'd be better than Adam Frazier. He might be worth a look. He has to be replacing a guy like Frazier, though. It'd be basically a better shot at a vet who might produce a bit more. That's all. I don't think it improves the team drastically or anything, but you're looking at things you could actually do right now. Okay. And yes, it would require a 40-man spot. So do they have enough fodder there? Sure. You're not going to hear me list G1 Bay, so there's one, right? Matt Gorski, center field, first base, great defender, ton of power, and even at first base, he's pretty smooth, actually. Ton of power, ton of strikeouts. So in some ways, he'd fit right in. If he puts the bat on the ball and he puts the ball over the wall, someone at 115 Federal might have to check the rule book and make sure that that's allowed. He could replace Pham or Valdez on this roster without much thought or worry about really losing anything. Again, I don't think they have to be playing Valdez at second base. They've got options there. And first base, Gorski could more than handle what Valdez was doing. he could replace Pham at least from a alternate outfielder perspective. And he gives you the ability to have a right-hander that can back up center field, which they don't have right now. Liover Peguero has gotten off to a good start. He's hitting over 300. Again, happy for this to be a replacement for Frazier. He can play third base through second base. And no, it doesn't make a lot of sense while Cheng is already up here. I mean, if you're going to have Cheng up here, you probably don't need to have Peguero, but it's an option there. And again, I don't think I'm pining for him to replace Cheng. I want Cheng to get a little bit more of an opportunity. He had a couple really bad looking at bats against Hunter Green today. I'm not sure I 100% blame him. There isn't an animal like that lives in the minor leagues that he's seen outside of somebody on his own team, like Bubba Chandler. So I'm not 100% sure how he could have prepared for that, really. Looking at strikes, though, seems to be a common theme that they like to educate these guys with, because he already had a couple really, really nice looks at pitches right down the pipe today to strike out. So if you wanted to replace him with Peguero, I'd be okay with that. At least Peggy's got some MLB experience. And let's be real, the way this season started, at the very least, you cannot foul up understanding a guy that is on his last option year, and you've got to make a decision one way or another. I'd stay away from Nick York. He just returned from injury. I'd really like to let that go for a week or two and just see how he is, make sure he's okay. Plus, I kind of need to understand a little bit better when Gonzalez is coming back, because I think those two at least are going to directly compete for playing time. So I want to make sure that I'm not calling him up just to send him right back down. I'd be happy if IKF got moved to the bench to make room for, York and Gonzalez to play on the same team, but I'm not 100% sure I see that happening. I know I wasn't going to make this about the Pirates, but I don't want to make it something that I absolutely feel strongly they're not going to do. And I think right now that's not going to happen. Billy Cook is off to a brutal start. He's got 11 strikeouts, just as many as Gorski, except he doesn't have the kind of power to make up for it. Although Gorski's only hit 1 too, so but at least Gorski's OPS is up where he'd want it to be. Billy Cook's off to a brutal start, and he really had a rough spring too. So if you're one of the people that really thought he was going to start this year, he's got a little bit of work to do, and at 26 years old, he better work quick. Jack Sawinski has a slugging percentage of 143, and his expected slug is 451. That's a difference of 0.308. That is the biggest differential in the league, and by quite a bit. So when we talk about replacing players, I'm not sure he'd be one for me. I understand if you're sick of seeing him. I understand if you think it's just never going to happen. You might very well be right. I'm not here to argue with you. I'm just here to tell you that the underlying numbers, the analytics, the stuff that some of you old folks probably really don't want to hear about, well, they speak in his favor. They make it seem like Jack is a guy that is worth giving a little bit more time to. At least as far as seeing if some of that can fall. I mean, he's hitting the ball hard. He's having extra base hits stolen from him. And while that happens to everybody, a guy like him, you can't just look at his batting average and kind of say well, that's what he's doing. So I think there's something there to be said for making sure that we're taking the time to appropriately watch Jack and make sure that everything's going right. Give him another week or so. Give him some opportunity. Feels like they sat him down for a few days this weekend, not only because I don't think you necessarily want him facing some of these guys, but that typically speaks to their tinkering with Jack when they want to sit him for a couple games, and that's what it feels like they're doing right now. So we'll see how he comes out of that. I have every confidence he's going to get another shot at it, but I don't know how many more he's got. It's getting to the point where the Pirates have to have something happen, and I don't know who that's going to be. I just read off most of the list. They're, of course, going to get Gonzalez and Horowitz back. You're guessing, though. I mean, Horowitz is probably going to go on a rehab assignment. But again, that's an untested commodity, and so is Gonzalez to a degree. So I don't want to sit here and act like losing those two guys has set them on this trajectory. They're on this trajectory because they ignored realities that, I mean, heck, even my grandma knew were problems. You know, like they're problems because they're problems, not because you got surprised. Did you ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, or I guess eggs, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. All right, welcome back to Locked On Pirates. Make sure you subscribe down there. Give me a like. Hit me with some comments. Try to keep the comments something that actually moves the conversation forward. I mean, if you're just going to tell me they stink, I kind of know. So let's make it something that kind of moves the ball forward. Tell me specifically how someone stinks or why. Let's see. The Pirates have a 7-game homestand that starts tonight against the Nationals. Who will be without CJ Abrams. He's out on the 10-day IL. We'll take that kind of good news when we can get it. Not that I'm happy anybody's hurt, but it's nice to see the Nationals not have a player like that who has traditionally torn it up against the Pirates. The Nationals only have one more win than the Pirates, but they're hitting almost 50 points higher in average, and their starting pitching is no joke. Having started their rebuild a year after the Pirates, you have to like where they are more than we do, at least in my opinion. Next up, the Cleveland Guardians will head to town. They're currently 8-7, and there's a good chance we'll get to face Luis Ortiz, whom we traded for Spencer Horwitz. That should be fun, and I can't imagine what people will be talking about online. There's no way they'll make direct comparisons at all to a player who hasn't touched the field yet. More than anything this week, frustration is starting to get hard to hide down at 115 Federal Street. More and more leaks, even trickling down to my level, that the coach should not feel safe. That seems to be the target the leakers have chosen anyway. Not that this roster is his fault. I mean, like I mentioned, my grandma even knew. My 90-year-old grandma told me on Christmas Day they didn't have enough hitters. I mean, point being, we all saw these problems, and I don't care if they unfairly blame Shelton and fire him. It just won't solve the problems entirely. Don't get me wrong. If I need tires and brakes for my car and I can only afford one, or I only, my recommendation would not be to choose to do neither. You take whatever you can get here. Change has to come. This is pathetic. They look weaker than they did in 2023 or 2024. I don't know how you get around that as a management group. If you want to hear more of my thoughts on making some big changes, like to the coaching and or general manager, I recorded a special live episode of Locked On Pirates on Saturday. You can check that out. There's lots to dig into on that, and I wanted to make sure that it covered it entirely on that episode and it didn't bleed into this one because I have enough things to cover in here. But it's difficult when you get off to a start like this in some ways to diagnose what's going on, because this isn't like new problems emerged. It's actually kind of painful how spot on most of the opinions from this off season were about what this was going to be if they didn't add to the offense. I don't think one big bopper in the middle of this lineup makes a gigantic difference to what they're doing, but it's undeniable that they just don't have anything like that. All the problems that we pointed out are there. Everybody knew IKF was going to struggle at shortstop. IKF struggling at shortstop. Nobody understood signing Adam Frazier or Tommy Pham. Nobody understands having Tommy Pham or Adam Frazier here right now. The excitement of the end of last year, watching Billy Cook and Nick York and some of the other kids come up here and shove and hit and be exciting and race around the bases and play baseball with reckless abandon and bring energy to this roster that has lacked it for a while. All of that went away this spring. They replaced those young kids that we were all excited about with Tommy Pham and Adam Frazier. And I hate to keep harping on those guys, but they're poster children until they're not here anymore. You went backwards with your signings. That's on nobody but the GM. That doesn't mean that the manager has to use them as often as he does. He's trotting them out there every day like they are integral parts to this lineup, and they just aren't. The injuries are real. They're racking up. Joey Bart's sitting on the bench, unable to play. Brian Reynolds only able to be a DH. Like, you got O'Neal Cruz with a busted up finger. Who knows if it's fully healed or not? He's playing again finally, though, at least. But you start really looking at what is happening on this roster, and now you're down to like 2 or 3 subs. In fact, you're playing your backup catcher just about every day somewhere. It's bad roster construction. It really is. The bullpen, it's actually not been a problem since they got rid of Bednar and Horwitz. It really hasn't. If we had that bullpen that we have right now and we had it at the beginning of the season, they probably have 2 more wins. That's how bad David Bednar and Colin Holderman were. Team still is having a hard time identifying talent, especially major league talent. And they're really having a hard time getting AAA talent to translate to major league talent. Now, maybe that's got something to do with the way they actually go about doing that. Because when they bring up a guy like Cheng, and then they sit him for 2 days, and then they play him for 2 days, and then they sit him again for another 2 or 3, it's hard for him to latch on. How do you expect him to catch on up here without hitting? You don't. They did the same thing with Henry Davis. They still do the same thing with Henry Davis. They pop Henry Davis in the 9 hole and they make him play 3 innings before he ever even touches the bat. So if you got an overthinker like Henry Davis, you know he overthinks. You know he gets too in his head. You know he thinks too much about the situations he's going to come up against. Get him involved in the game really early. He's up here. And you don't have a leadoff hitter anyway. Put him in the leadoff spot. Get his at-bats out of the way, right away. Let him get into the game, bang, zoom, right away. Don't make him wait around until the 3rd or 4th inning before he finally gets up to the plate. Get him in there right away and get him an at-bat. Get the party started for him quickly. To me, you've got to start handling things differently. I don't know if it's right what I'm saying. I don't know if that helps, but it would look different. That's all I'm looking for at this point. Do something different when you're onboarding these kids, because what you're doing isn't working. They're not going to get anywhere if that's the way we keep going. a month or two from now, we'll be looking at real auditions, and you'll get as many of those kids as you want. Because the new coach is going to come in and probably decide that that's the route they need to take. So be careful what you wish for, because kids aren't good either most of the time, but at least you'd feel like you'd be working towards something. Sad thing is, some of those kids are like 26, 27 years old. That ain't a kid anymore. So if you really want to be excited, start pulling for Termar Johnson to put the Jets on and move through this system, because that's the next real impact bat they've got down there. Maybe Nick York, if you're lucky. I just don't see a lot of help coming. And I certainly don't see a lot of changes coming quickly, at least internally. Old saying here is you can't fire all the players. So guess what? When you got to make a firing, I think you know who it's going to be. If I'm Derek Shelton, I'm probably counting the parachutes before I get on the team plane home. That's all I'm saying. Because he might not make it back one way or another. Thank you for making Locked On Pirates your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. That's all I got for you today. Stay locked.